AMP has a Rakai problem on their hands. Now, if you don't know who Rakai is, he's this young, up-and-coming, probably already established streamer who I guess the first time I saw was on Kaisanat's, was it Subathon? And I mean, since then he's just taken the world by storm, the streaming world to be exact. So I guess he needs to be stopped, or he's causing AMP some problems. I know he was wilding during the streamer university thing. You know, here's the thing. I've actually noticed dude really be wilding out a lot, but I just chucked it up to he's a kid. He's like 16 years old. Like, when I was 16, I didn't even have half or a quarter of the fame this dude has. So I can only imagine how I'd behave. But just because that's the case does not give you an excuse to wild out. But I don't know what this video is about. This is by the YouTuber Omizi. Full video will be in the link in the description if you want to check out the full video uninterrupted. All right, without further ado, let's get into the video.
This Rakai needs to be stopped. By all means, this is not a hate video. Y'all gotta stop giving this the excuse that he's just a kid. Understand everybody's not the same.
That's literally what I just did.
Some people don't think the same. They need to start disciplining this Rakai.
Now hold on, that's my young boy, Rakai. I'm sure it cannot be that bad. I'm sure that he's just being a little over the top and exaggerating.
You just go right back, bro.
No, you did.
Yes, I did.
And after that,
I get shit, bro.
You and Jamal at the same time.
I'm
playing around court, kick your ski.
Bro, I'm gonna keep the butt down. No,
come on, bro. Chill, bro. Hey, bro, chill.
Why are you throwing water
On my
in my
mother,
security
on my
face?
mother's soul is not me.
Hey, turn the camera off, man.
Huh?
Turn the camera off.
On my mother's life because she was not
No,
me.
that's crazy. You throw water in the security face, bro?
Okay. Before Omizi got to say what he got to say, I'm like, man, come on. Come on, man. You see, I don't want to be that guy, but are we shocked that somebody who is this popular, who is so young, I think he's 16 years old, is acting out while he's on stream? Is that really a surprise? Shoot, people who are 10 years older than him act just like that, if not worse. It's the attention economy. He's going to be known as that crash out streamer, so he's entertaining, he's engaging. Whatever he does is going to bring some form of entertainment, so he's going to be more prone to do stupid things on stream. And he has a bunch of people around him, I'm talking about AMP, who can steer the ship and guide him to the right path, or kind of like scold him when he's wilding out. But who knows? Maybe they do that behind the scenes. I don't know, but I think somebody needs to be in his ear to tell him to chill, slow down, before you lose what you've been taking so long to build up. And again, I'm approaching this with the fact that he's 16 years old in mind. So I'm giving him some grace because he's 16. Like, we have to be realistic. He's 16. He's 16 with a lot of fame. Like, come on.
We got something on our hands. Now, normally we can excuse this behavior as normal 16-year-old ignorance, which I think a lot of people have been doing. But coming off of Streamer University, there has to be a real examination of Rakai, his actions, his attachment to the group, and why streamers think that this is the way to make content going into 2025. Now, every time I try to make a video on Rakai, I get the news of the night and then upload it to my Notion, record it and everything like that. And as it's getting edited and ready to go, something different happens. And this time he pulled a prank that he thought was funny because his person who was doing his hairdresser messed up on his hair. So he called the cops to ask them how to sue. And it was a joke until the cops actually showed up.
Chat, word to my mother, the cops are here. Word to my mother, but I don't know how to become an address.
This is like kid 101.
Chat, I literally called the cops, but I hung up mad quick. Niggas still put up. Yeah, they track our phones.
So here's the thing, like making a 911 call is very serious. I remember one time I essentially butt dialed 911 and they called me right back asking like, yo, did you mean to call? So yes, they probably will most likely follow up on a call even if you didn't intend to call them, because They don't know. Maybe you in distress. You try to call them and somebody snatched the phone out your hands. They got to make sure they covering all the bases. But again, this is stupid behavior. But again, he's a kid. I'm not trying to excuse anything. But to sit on this high and mighty, like throne, casting stones on dude, like I didn't do prank calls when I was young. But again, you know better, you do better. And if somebody can steer him away from doing these stupid things, his career might be more fruitful. Or who am I kidding? But who am I kidding? Being a crash out these days is probably more profitable. I don't know. But yeah, y'all got to be careful with all that 911 prank calls. Like, they don't play at all. They do not play.
Rakai is a 16-year-old streamer who has risen to prominence by basically being a Kai Cenat clone, taking on that moniker and taking it to a whole nother level. He's a part of the AMPG League, as they are calling them, and he's been pumping out a lot of content and seeing a lot of success. But there's a lot of people asking, why is it that these content creators, namely the biggest of the big, want to be associated with a little kid who is hyperactive, who is doing all these crazy things, and is depicting themselves like this on the internet?
I'm a hoe. I don't have no f***ing rights. I'm a bitch. And I'm short and ugly and black. What the f*** is this?
Now, a lot of people would say that this is just normal interactions and behaviors of a 16-year-old kid. Wasn't me when I was 16, but that's what people have been ultimately saying. And
I don't know about like normal interactions as a 16-year-old. I think this is normal interactions as a 16-year-old streamer. A streamer, period. This how they act. I'm not gonna lie, like, it is kind of annoying seeing that happen. Like, you got Kai, you got the big dogs kind of egging this on and not trying to put him in his place. And if they do put him in his place, it's for content. It's not on a serious note from what I've seen anyway. So I don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
there have been a lot of people saying, this is content. And I do agree to that to some extent. If we look at some of our favorite streamers or content creators back in the day, they used to do similar actions like this.
That's what I said.
I know Phantom from being that crash out on 2K who threw chairs through walls and doors and stuff like that and would rage every single time, playing the game and losing. Raging was a thing. Raging is a thing. That is some sort of content. But it seems that the community is saying that Rakai is taking it too far and they are a little fed up of him, his actions, and his shenanigans.
Rakai don't got no. You know that that tells you I probably shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this.
Wait. If the Shay out of all people is calling out your behavior, you definitely gotta change something, because the Shay ain't want to talk. If it's a person with 2 legs and some breasts and a butt, the Shay is on there like instantly, with all morals going out the window. But if he's calling out your behavior, something, maybe I need to look at this through another lens, a more serious lens, because the Shay don't have no sense of a moral compass. So it's interesting. Let's keep watching.
This is probably too far. That nigga Rakai don't got that. He don't got that.
Now, if this ain't the pot calling the kettle black, then I don't know what.
I literally, sorry, I'm gonna stop pausing. Come on.
What is. Although Deshae Frost is acting like the Spider-Man meme right here in his sentiments, those sentiments are being echoed by a larger portion of the community. That and why he is around adults in adult-like situations, which we can address in 2 seconds. Now, for me and my perspective, I see Rakai as being nothing more than an extension or an evolution of what's been going on in streaming over the past couple of years.
True.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not excusing any of the incidents that happened at Streamer University, the depictions of his room after the fact, or his physical altercations, whether it be a fight with Dabo or the Orbeez incident.
Oh, chill.
I believe they were fighting over a ski mask. Yes. He wanted to be a YN so bad that he needed his YN starter kit, the ski mask.
Oh, chill. Watch the camera. Watch the camera. Watch the camera. Chill. Don't get in trouble, bro. Stop, bro. Not working. It ain't that serious. It ain't that serious, bro.
We can only give so many excuses after time and time again situations like this happen, and now they're being escalated to where people are actually getting hurt. The one girl did get hit in the eye, and although it might have been stated that it was over exaggerated because she didn't end up in the hospital, she actually just ended up with an ice pack in her room. I still don't think that that should be something that's downplayed. Sure, it might have hit her on the skin of the eye and she was okay this time, but an Orbeez directly to the eye will literally blind somebody. That's the reason why they provide goggles and tell you don't aim at people's faces when it comes to playing with them. But I do say this is just the nature of the clip farming era that we are in, with the one-upping culture that we are in, just trying to be over the top, over the top, over the top. And when you have a frontal lobe that isn't even starting to develop or is just in the processes of developing, I mean, this is the result of this.
I mean, yes, that is true. If you look at this in this sense, you can completely understand why this is the route most people take. You know, the educational streams where you're providing value seems boring, seems not energetic enough. So if you are coming on stream, crashing out, one-upping yourself, doing the most outlandish thing, I think that drives more attention because people want to see a car crash. They want to see what you're going to do next. They want to see you cause harm to yourself or somebody else. So they're just sitting back, eating the popcorn and waiting for the chaos to happen. And if you're 16, like he said, and this is all you know, this is all you've grown up on, let's think about it. I don't think streaming really became mainstream till like COVID 2020. Rakai was 11. If that was his form of TV programming, remember us growing up watching TV, actually going to network TV to actually watch it? We mimicked what we saw. If this is his own form of TV programming, he's going to then want to mimic that. So it's not too far off from common sense. It's just the thing is there is nobody around him to tell him to hone it in and separate what is going too far from what is decent enough to stream. I think that's the problem we're having on our hands right now.
This is what people find entertaining. This is what people find content. And it's no knock inherently to Rakai. He is just a product of the era in my perspective. But I do think that we should be looking at this era and being more careful about what we put out into the ethos to say that, hey, this is okay. This is what we condone. This is fine and dandy. Because just like how I was critical of the other people on Kick doing things like this, I would still have to be fair and be critical of Rakai doing these exact same actions. Now, because of Rakai's actions, a lot of people have been questioning whether or not he should be in these situations. Not just because he doesn't know how to handle himself in these situations, but also because these are very adult-like situations that are around Rakai and in the surrounding areas. It's no secret that Kai Cenat and Collective continuously remind us that they are an adult platform. It's not their job to, influence the kids a certain way, or, they should be able to consume things like weed or alcohol, which is true. They are of age. But when Rakai is in those situations and we're facing criticism, those questions still come up and have to be taken into consideration.
I ain't like, bro, this is it's 130,000 people watching, bro. You just said you're edging?
Nobody cares about
Now
edging.
it's like, okay, damn, I never knew my son was horny, so now she's putting two and two together.
She's looking at her bathroom wig. Like, what? She's looking at her towels and rags.
It's over,
Oh,
again.
let me see.
It's over,
Listen.
Let me see what?
Now, she's putting two and two together.
Let me see what?
Play the outro
Let
song
me
for
see
Rakai.
what?
Rakai's mom is now texting Kai Cenat to tell him, yeah, this is getting out of pocket and too far. Well, because he has put himself into adult situations, or at least the adults around him have welcomed him into these situations. I don't know how to frame this, but essentially, Rakai is in these adult situations in which he shouldn't be in. And because part of the WL community is innuendos about sexual things or, alcohol or whatever the case may be, it only makes sense. And it only makes sense that he should not be there. I think it's fairly simple. Now, with that being said,
I think that could be boiled down to one simple thing. The people who welcome him into these adult situations are also using him for clips. So why would they want to potentially get rid of a clip farm that could potentially occur? Why would they want to do that when they can probably encourage him to do whatever he's doing in this adult scenario where they can benefit from it as well? I don't know. Honestly, I'm not trying to make it Kai's responsibility to kind of watch over him, but it kind of feels like Kai took him under his wing. Now, Kai himself is not even 25, so is it asking too much that, yo, this is your little bro, like, make sure he's all right, make sure he's straight, make sure he's not putting himself in these situations. Here's the thing, make sure he's not going to tarnish his own image before he gets to a level where he can mature. Look at what happened to Neon. He was 19, wilding out, doing the most outlandish things, saying the most outlandish things. He grew up, but no one cares. I think he's still doing good, but he burnt so many bridges that when he actually cleaned up his act and started doing quality streams, from what I see, and he's said this, and he said that, yo, nobody really want to mess with him. He burnt all his bridges, and yeah, at the time he was entertaining to most people, but where are those same people when now you've changed your content, now you're doing something that provides value? Where are those same people that were encouraging you to crash out now that you've matured? They just went to the next crash out. Now you're sat alone by yourself, wondering why other streamers don't want to stream with you. That's what Kai should be preaching to Rakai. Use Neon as a case study, as an example of where you don't want to go, because the way Rakai is going right now, if he continues on this path, people are going to get fed up with him, and they just wouldn't want to really mess with him, or they're going to see his act as stale. And that's one thing you don't want to be, stale, if you're on the internet. You will get a rude awakening real quick.
I believe that Kai Cenat and the people around him like Talil, Punga, Ray, or whatever the case may be, aren't doing the best they can to protect him. Sure. Little Rodney's son is not having, Rakai be in these situations. However, the nature of the WL community is putting him in these situations. Do I think it would be different if Rakai was home? Probably not. He would still be making these jokes. But being in the environment puts you at an extraordinary opportunity to be exposed to a bunch of different things. And we've seen what's happened before in the past when young people, 15, 16 years old, are into these places and spaces, and it honestly does not end well.
This nigga burner page, whatever it is, someone running the second page, is taking clips from 3-4 years ago, posting them with captions that aren't true, trying to defame me and trying to drag me down with Act. Now, does Act run this page? I don't think so. Do Act most likely have control over this page? Yes. Act, you came on my Song Wars, you judged it, I appreciate that. That's love. But at the end of the day, if you are coming on stream and you are saying weird shit to a nigga, to a kid I basically view as my little brother, you feel me? Nor he's a Palestinian refugee. For anyone that doesn't understand, he's a Palestinian refugee. He lives in Malaysia. He doesn't speak Malay. He lost his mother. I've known him for like 2 years now. He's gone through a lot. I don't want him in these situations where he's getting asked these weird questions. I don't know why my sister's even coming up, gang.
That Noor Academics and Blackboy Max situation from just a few months ago at the top of the year was totally out of hand. And it's a situation that Noor shouldn't have even been in. But because the community dictates that this is the way that content is supposed to be made, then ultimately this is just another young man that succumbed to the pressures of the adults that ultimately failed him in the name of content or trolling or joking or whatever the hell be going on. And so then we wonder why these young kids ultimately end up regurgitating this nonsense, but it's because it's being spewed to them. And then not even just that, this ultimately becomes content for the entirety of the community to consume and make judge of or light of or any situation as if it's something to even be talked about in this manner.
You're still scamming people. You're asking people around me for money. You're doing things that you know you shouldn't be doing and playing the I'm a kid card in order for you to get by, which is not cool. You've been on the internet long enough. You know the results of your actions, my nigga. You're scamming people, my supporters, my niggas in the com. You're doing all this, bro. You're scamming people outside, and you're playing that cool role. That's shit's not it, bro.
Like, it's good that we're holding people accountable for the actions, but content, like whether it be Rakai, whether it be Noor, whether it be whoever, these 15-year-olds should not be the content for 30-something.
You know what I was just thinking about while he was talking? There used to be a time when you didn't have access to the people you supported. And I think that actually created a healthy level of relationship between artist and fan. Now there is such a parasocial relationship between the fan and the artist they support or the person they support that has come to the point that they see that person they support as their parent, as the person who is raising them, shaping their worldviews, shaping their morals, and shaping everything they believe in. I think that's where we're at. So you have 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds like talking to people they idolize, which you shouldn't be idolizing anybody. But we have situations like this, then they grow up to be lost and have a different sense of direction, a different sense of what's up and what's down. Meanwhile, the people they actually support are older, so they know when to turn off their content brain and when to go back and assimilate to real life. That might be a stretch, but I think that is the union that we are seeing between the fan and the artist, and it's not good. It's literally not good. It's breeding a generation of people, of young people that are just going to aspire to be YNs and crash outs.
Year-olds, when it comes to making them the butt of the joke, laughing at them, taking advantage of their childlike state or whatever the case may be. And the behavior only gets encouraged every time a non-serious video is made where, people say that he needs a whooping or he's expelled and he comes back or they treat him like a child or whatever. This is just only encouraging the behavior that's being depicted.
This Rakai nigga need a whooping, bro. This nigga bad as hell. I ain't never paid attention to your ass as much as I did during this streamer university.
You're expelled. Package it up. No. You are expelled. Rakai, pack your shit up.
No, gang, listen, gang. Hold on, time out, bro.
Come on. Pack it up.
See, it's what I said. Whatever they do and whatever repercussions they're trying to give to Rakai is all in the name of content. It's not in the name of correcting bad behavior. So we just plainly saw an example of Kai expelling Rakai from the streamer university, and we see the next day he's right back on campus. Doesn't that coincide with what I said earlier in this video? The only time you see people scolding Rakai, the people that he's under scolding him, is when there's content to be made. That's not genuine. That's benefiting you and also benefiting him. So if it's benefiting him, there's no need to change because he can just repeat the same thing that's going to benefit him and going to benefit you as well.
Now, look, one of the only reasons why I'm bringing this to the forefront of the conversation is for two specific reasons. Because I'm 30. I shouldn't be talking about Rakai and all this other stuff. I didn't report on it when it was
30 gang. I'm 29.
Going back and forth. And honestly, I'm employed. I shouldn't be talking about it now. But I find it very interesting, though, that when it came to the Zoe Spencer situation, yes, I keep bringing it up, a couple weeks ago, that was taken very much more serious than the Rakai situation. I would think that both people would say that they are equally annoying.
I was about to say the same thing. I was going to do a reaction video about that, but I felt like the time had already passed. I was saying, look, and do you know the time that happened? The only person that came to mind was Rakai. I was like, why isn't he getting the same energy as Zoe Spencer is? Because, yes, Zoe Spencer is so annoying, unbearable. So is Rakai. Now, you can say one is older, but I don't know how old she is. I don't know if she's below 25 or whatever. But what he just said, yo, where is this same energy? For some reason, she got this much hate, this much heat. And this little man right here ain't getting, well, he's 16. We don't want to encourage people piling up on a 16-year-old. But I didn't think it was fair. I thought yo, if you're going to keep the energy, and I thought she was called out rightfully, but it's just selective politicking at the same time because y'all don't call other streamers out that do worse things. The Shade never got called out. It was one person who called out The Shade when he was doing wild things on stream. But I digress. Y'all don't want to have that conversation.
and would dismiss both of them if it was all equal, right? But are we going to continue to give him the 16-year-old pass? And then secondly, and most importantly, I think that this is an opportunity to take a look at the nature of what WL content is, streaming is, whatever the case may be. I saw Stream University this weekend, and while there were a bunch of magnificent things to say, I
thought it was pretty good. It was just sometimes it was
what's
just crazy
going on in the future. I saw clip farming to an immature level that I thought I would never see in my life.
Why do it smell like that?
Oh my goodness.
Ew.
Headshot. We going, bro. I don't give a fuck. I'm taking everything. Yo. Oh yeah, flour. Yo.
Okay, I'm gonna leave the video right there, but this is my final thoughts. First of all, I want to put some onus on Kai, but hear me out, because I know once you kind of give some criticism on Kai, you think you're hating. They think you're hating. I'm not. But I'm saying, doesn't it feel like Rakai's mom kind of like handed the reins over to Kai to like, yo, watch over my son because I'm entrusting him with you? I don't think Kai should be putting Rakai in these situations. That's one. Two, with the Streamer University, I thought it was such a dope concept. Mind you, I don't watch streams. I just can't. But I thought it was such a dope content. Like, you have people who are struggling and people who are striving to be great at streaming. They had an opportunity. They learned. I thought that was great. But then again, I don't know if Kai had laid some ground rules, or when he laid the ground rules, it was for content. I just think that Kai needs to start creating a more controlled environment for all these things he throws. Like the Streamer University, I thought it was a good concept, but I think at some point it got out of hand. I think there should be serious penalties if you go too far. We know streaming is all about being outlandish, but I think if you go too far, there has to be repercussions, because Kai, this is somebody could essentially become a liability and cost you. So there has to be some ground rules, some serious repercussions, some serious consequences if you're going off the rails and stuff like that. That's just my 2 cents when he's doing like these events. That's just I don't know. But let me know what you guys thought about the video. Do you think we can chuck all this up to him being 16, or do you think there's some serious intervention and accountability that needs to be held, maybe on his part or his parents' part or Kai's part? Let me know in the comments. Again, full video will be in the link in the description. Like the video, sub. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. God bless.